Hi, my name's Paul Grogan, and in this Gaming Rules Quick and Dirty review, I'm going to be telling you what I think about Nusfjord, or Nusfjord, however you want to pronounce it. This is a game published by Mayfair Games in 2017 and designed by Uwe Rosenberg. Now, the first thing I want to say about this game is that I wasn't given a review copy of it. This is one that I bought myself at Essen 2017 because I definitely wanted to come home with a copy of it. And I'm glad I did because I really like the game. There are a few other things that I want to say about it though, so stay tuned. Now, first of all, the game is quick. We learned how to play this game, 5 of us playing it, none of us knew how to play from the rulebook, and it took a couple of hours. And that's with us all learning the game from the rulebook together. So in future, a 5-player game will probably take about an hour and a half at the most. It plays really smoothly, and the game is not that complex compared to some other Uwe Rosenberg games. I can play a solo game of this, and I'm not really a big solo gamer, but I've played this about 10 times solo. He says, contradicting himself, but it takes about 15 minutes. So I set it up, you know, I do the stuff and I play really quick and then it's done and I count up the scores and I go, hey, I beat last time. You know, that's all you're trying to do as a solo game is beat your score from last time. But there is quite a lot of replayability to it because the game comes with a load of cards which are divided into 3 decks, depending on the fish that's on the back of them. And what's interesting is, unlike, say, Feast for Odin, where you start with the A cards and then you mix in the Bs and the Cs once you're experienced, with this game you only ever use one of the 3 types of fish. You don't actually mix and match them. So yeah, you can choose which one to play with, and then obviously not all of the cards will come out in the game, so there is quite a bit of replayability to it. Next thing I want to mention is the rulebook. As I say, 5 of us sat down and learned how to play it from the rulebook. It's pretty good. There was nothing majorly wrong with it. There is a little bit of a hiccup in it near the start where it tells you to use the herring cards, and if you don't know what a herring looks like, you're not really sure which of the cards to use. Now, turns out all the cards have got a little number on them, and if you look in the reference manual, there's a big reference manual with everything in here. You can work out which ones they are, but that was just a little bit of fun at the start when it told us to use the herring cards and we weren't sure which ones they were. Apart from that, the rulebook is pretty clear. We didn't have any big problems with it, as I say, and that was okay. Artwork and graphic design, I quite like the artwork of the game. I mean, the front cover of the box is nice and the artwork in the game is okay. Well, actually, I quite like it. The pictures of the people are what I'm not too keen on. The particular art style for that, I'm not really a big fan of it. It doesn't look particularly... It's not bad, it's just not fantastic. And this guy here looks a little bit like Paul Hogan, which is a little bit disturbing. The other thing as well is that on all the pictures of the elders, there's no women. So there's lots of different elders in the game and there's no female characters anywhere in the game, they're all male, which this day and age I think is a little bit of a problem. They should have really gone to a bit more effort. Graphic design wise, it's relatively clear. The only big problem I have is on this board here, where this number shows the number of people that can go on that space. So down here, build a building, 3 people can use that space. So I could use it, and then I could use it again, and then somebody else could use it, and that's fine because the space is big enough. Whereas here, this deforest action, 2 people can use it, but once one person's used it, it kind of covers it over. So I know it's me griping about little things, but this space here for 2 people really should have been big enough that 2 people could have gone there. The other slight problem with the game is the coins. As you'll see here, you've got 10s and 5s, which are nice, and the 1s, they're tiny. They're really, really tiny. They're really fiddly to pick up. I mean, it works, but it's just, you know, and they probably needed space on the punch board or whatever, but they're just really fiddly and a bit, they should have been bigger. However, other components, the fish and the wood, look at these, cute, really good. And you actually get quite a lot of components in this game. There's lots and lots of bits of wood and lots of bits of cardboard and everything else. Another thing I really like in the game is the way that the share system works. And shares in an Uwe Rosenberg game is an unusual thing. But you start off the game with 2 of your own shares and the other 3 are face down. Now, shares are worth a point at the end of the game, and any unused shares are worth -1 point. And during the game, you can actually acquire shares from other players, which is really good because obviously that gives you an extra point, but it means that you have some investment in their company. So every time they get income, which is fish, you're going to get one of those income. And you will sell your own shares to get money, and money's really valuable and scarce. And then other people will buy your shares, or you could even buy your own shares back, which means you'll get more income every time you get income, because your income is shared out between the shareholders. Just really like the game. It's a nice addition to the game, and it doesn't turn it into some, you know, weird stocks and shares game or anything like that. It's just really nice. But now on to the bit that I really, really didn't like about the game. Even though I said I really, really like the game, there's one particular bit of it that I really didn't like. So much so that I've now got a house rule that fixes that problem. Now, if you're somebody who only plays the games by the rulebook and thinks that house rules are an insult to the games designer, then you might want to switch off here. But there is a part of the game where halfway through the game you get to draw the C cards. Now, the C cards are not quite endgame scoring cards, but they are big powerful buildings that can generate you a lot of points if you meet the conditions on them. And the rules of the game are that on round 4, and there's 7 rounds in the game, you get to draw some of those cards into your hand. And you've got 2 rounds yourself to play the cards. And then if you haven't played them, like either you don't want to or you're not able to, then they become publicly available. Now I quite like that. I quite like the fact that there are cards that you've got time to build yourself, and if you don't, then somebody else can. But the fact is you draw them on round 4. Now that to me is a flaw in the game, and I'm sure the designer has got some reason why that's in there, but I can't work it out. And not just me, but some other people who I play with also felt it was a bit of a problem. So, and I've seen it happen in games of this where, you know, one player, me for example, would draw their C cards halfway through the game and go, oh, well, I happen to be doing that, so this card is really good for me because now I can do it and I'll get 12 points or whatever. And you might draw 3 cards and go, oh, right, well, no, I can't do any of these. Literally none of these are anything to do with what I was doing because some of them reward certain strategies. And if you don't know what cards you're going to get until halfway through the game, you can't plan, you can't have any idea. And you might just say, well, that's fine, you need to keep your options open. But the thing is, in this game, there's lots of different strategies and lots of different things you can do. When those cards get drawn, they're bound to reward some people and not others. So very simple, house rule is you get those cards at the start of the game instead of round 4. Now, the house rule doesn't really change much because what I'm saying, you see the cards at the start of the game, but you can't build them until round 4. And round 4 is normally the time when you would get them. So all I'm doing is saying, right, rather than it be a secret halfway through the game of some random scoring cards, here's what your scoring cards are going to be so you can work towards it if you want to. I'm not telling everybody you should play with this rule. It's there, it's a house rule. If you find that that particular thing is a problem in the game, then feel free to use that house rule because it does fix it. I've tried playing it with it, it does fix it, and it doesn't really alter the balance of the game, apart from everybody sees what their cards are at the start of the game, therefore everybody can work towards them, which I think is a good thing. So anyway, that's pretty much about everything I've got to say about it. As I say, I really do like the game. This one's staying in my collection. I am going to play it more with various play accounts. I've played it with 1, 3, 4 and 5 and it just flows really nicely. So I'm definitely keeping this one. Definitely want to play it a lot more with the other fish decks to see how they work. And if you've got any questions, then drop them in the comments and let me know. Until next time, take care and thanks for watching.